to another edition of the Daily Deuce. I'm Gary Graves from just outside lovely and really temperate Louisville, Kentucky. I mean, it's nice here, John. And in Maryland, John Webster, I hope the weather is as beautiful there as it is here.
Hey Gary, how's everybody doing? Weather is not my kind of weather. It's about 75 degrees today, Gary. I got up this morning and had shorts on, and it was a little bit nippy, so I had to switch to long pants. It's not my kind of weather, man. Not at all. I mean, it's nice. Everybody's enjoying it, but I want 95.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind another 95 day. The thing I'm enjoying about this is that yesterday it allowed me to go out and mow the lawn for like the first time in weeks and not just like, sweat my tail off. And I appreciated that. I mean, I don't think I broke a sweat for the first time, mowing the lawn this season. Every other day has been like 85 and up, and even though we haven't had much rain here to help the grass grow, that's the reason why it's taken so many weeks. It's like anything where I didn't have to go out there in that weather to mow, I'll take it. So I hope you get your 95, and I hope you're at the beach when you get it.
How about that? How about that?
Yep. Folks, hey, we're in the middle of NFL training camp. College football is about to start up in a few days with week 0. I don't know what that is, but okay, to me, it's like Coke Zero or whatever they call it. But anyway, we're getting closer to football. We are still in the midst of the August dog days of baseball before the real pennant races start. And John, I know you have a whole lot to talk about with the Baltimore Orioles. So let's go into that right now. Tell me about where they are, where they're headed, and what you're thinking about.
They started today off a half game in first. They had an afternoon game, businessman special, as I call them, against the Mets today. As I told you earlier, by 4 o'clock today, they had lost a walk-off game to the Mets.
Hmm.
So that right now puts them in a tie with the Yankees. The Yankees still have to play tonight. We'll see what happens. Same thing happened to them again that's been happening to them, Gary. Pitching, pitching, pitching. Also, one night you get nine runs and a lot of hits. Today, you didn't. They lost 4-3. Left men in scoring position. Left men on third base. One point they had the bases loaded with no outs, and they got one run. The pitching side, they were losing 2-0. Fought back, tied up 2-2. They brought Craig Kimbrell in the seventh inning.
Here's a match, gas can.
He gave up a home run, 3-2. So 3-2, going to the eighth. Yeah, I think it was going to the eighth. Yeah. Orioles were able to tie it back up, make it 3-3. Dominguez pitched the eighth inning, and then he came in for the ninth, and he gave up a home run. So they lost 4-3. Walk-off home run. That's the second walk-off he's given up in the last 3 days. Also, Zach Eflin has gone on the injured list. He has soreness in his shoulder. Soreness in his throwing shoulder.
Oh, that's not good.
So, Gary, let me give you a brief rundown of the injured list. Starting pitchers on the injured list: John Means, Grayson Rodriguez, Kyle Bradish, Tyler Wells, Zach Eflin. That's a rotation anybody in baseball would love to have. I'm not finished. You have a closer, Felix Bautista, and that's from last year. I know, but I still want to talk about this year. He's out. That's your closer. That's why you're juggling between Kimbrell, Cano, and Dominguez. High leverage pitchers. Jacob Webb, elbow surgery. And no, elbow surgery is Koyun. He'll be back in September, and Jacob Webb has elbow soreness. Infielders. Jordan Westberg has a fractured hand. He should be back in September. Jorge Mateo has a dislocated elbow. He's done for the season. Gary, if I'm not mistaken, that's like 8 players I just called out to you. 8
Yeah,
or 9.
that's a 30-year roster right there.
Yeah. So and people laugh at me and say I'm overreacting. I still say there's a very definitive possibility they miss the playoffs. Not just don't win the pennant, they may miss the playoffs. How do I get there? The starting pitcher today for the Orioles was Cole Irvin. That's a pitcher we had sent down to the minor leagues in AAA. That's a pitcher who cleared waivers because nobody wanted him. And he was giving up 4 runs a game in AAA. He did okay today. He pitched 5 innings, gave up 1 run, but he had through about 92, 93 pitches. Right now, he's part of your starting rotation. Dean Kramer pitched yesterday. He won. That's the 2nd straight start he's had, which has been good. But right now, you're looking at a rotation where Corbin Burns and Corbin Burns and Corbin Burns. I know I sound dejected.
You do.
It's very frustrating. I'll also say this. I want to say this about Brandon Hyde, because I heard some people talking earlier today on another talk show wanting him fired.
I heard that same thing and I just shook my head. So we might have been listening to the same thing. I think it was one of the Baltimore stations that people were complaining about that, and I just thought that was ridiculous.
Yeah. I think
excuse me.
I think Brandon Hyde has done a wonderful job. Am I frustrated and do I want more? Yes. I've told everybody, everybody else, I am greedy. I want more. But to the extent that this man should be fired, absolutely not. He has them within a game or half a game of first place. And he's got, 8 out of 25, 8 out of 26 of his roster is on the injured list. He's had to pick up Eloy Jimenez. He's had to pick up Slater. He's had to pick up Zach Eflin. He's had to pick up, what's the guy's name? Trevor Rogers. He's had to pick up Greg Soto. He's had to pick up Sir Anthony Dominguez. That's like 6 or 7 players, Gary. That's a turnover. And he still has them where they're sitting. But eventually, and again, I'd still say he's doing a great job. Even if they don't make the playoffs, I think they've done a great job with what they're facing. But eventually, if you can't get pitching together, you can't go but so far, Gary. And it's each day it gets worse. And I just don't know.
Yeah. Well, John, I'm gonna send some sunshine your way and try to get you to look at the bright side. And you alluded to part of it already in saying, he's got them within a game or maybe a half game of first place in that division. I look at it, I mean, okay, they're 3 games up in the wild card. So, barring a collapse, I mean, like a complete and total collapse, I still think that they've got a good shot at taking one of those, at least a wild card spot. I'm like you. I want more. I think they can win that division because, again, for as bad as they have looked, as much of as they've sputtered and faltered in clutch situations, it seems like every week we are mentioning Craig Kimbrell and some kind of what did he do today, kind of talk. But John, they're still within, a fingernail of first place. It has gone back and forth. I want to say at least twice within the last week. That's not bad. And again, a team that's 20 games over 500, in spite of all of that, is something you can probably hang your hat on. And when you get to if you make the playoffs, anything is possible. All of a sudden, those eight players that have been on the injured list, you shorten your roster anyway to some extent. Of course, you need pitching, but if you can really narrow it down to, like say three guys, I'm going to say in a short series, two guys and maybe a third guy to come on, I think you're fine for that first round. After that, it becomes more important to have like at least three guys, maybe four guys that can get you through. Brandon Hyde, he's a guy that I'm telling you, I think he can find a way to turn a pair of deuces into a full house and win a hand. Or three of a kind and win a hand. Just because he's just done a good job with the cards that he's dealt. And I think you have to really hang your hat on that and look at that as a bright spot. But John, I'm like you can't keep playing with fire, especially with that bullpen. And we talked about this last week, and I think I'd asked you, so I'm going to follow up again. If you're a manager, what do you think about letting your starters try to go 7 innings? I mean, the way that it used to before turning it over to the pen. You've already got a discussion underway of a 6 inning requirement by baseball. I think that's a crazy idea because it just doesn't take into account that a pitcher can get lit up in the first inning, like what I saw up in Cincinnati last weekend against the Kansas City Royals. I mean, before I even got in my seat or before me and my boys got in our seats, they were down 1-0. It was 3-0 after 2 innings when a number 9 hitter hits a 2-run homer. Then he comes back in the third and hits a grand slam that everybody in the stadium saw coming, not just because they couldn't get a pitch over the plate, but because the Kansas City Royals just flat out crushed the ball. What I'm saying is, if you have that kind of pitching, that kind of quality starting pitching, if you're a manager, why not try to push them as far as they can go? Complete games are not necessarily the expectation, but what do we always talk about, John? Quality innings. So again, your thoughts on that? And I know you alluded to it last week, which your quick answer was, but kind of give me a longer view of that.
Well, yeah, part of me really wants pitchers to go longer, but I guess they're not built the same way as they were back in the 70s, 80s, and 60s, 90s, 70s, 80s, and 60s. Dean Kramer last night, he went 6 innings, but he threw 90 some pitches. And I guess the magical number is 90 or 100. I don't agree with it, but that's what they do with pitchers now, Gary. They shorten their time. Cole Irvin pitched today. He had already thrown 90 some balls and he was 4 2/3 in. That's fifth inning. Yeah, I come from a different day and time. I want to see him just go, but I know it's a little bit different now. So
Oh yeah, it's a lot different, but with this age of specialization and going by, what do they call that? Not so much analytics, but gosh, I'm trying to think of what they call it in baseball. It was something. It was a term that was coined in Moneyball, but I'll just say analytics, where they look at what wins after replacement or something like that. All of those different things, with hitters and with pitchers. I still say baseball, if you're an old school guy, Brandon Hyde might not be that old school guy. He might be the one looking at the numbers, but at some point, somebody in that organization who's an old school guy has just maybe got a whisper in his ear, let's try to get 7 innings as opposed to six. Let's try to get 120 pitches as opposed to maybe 100 or 110, at the most. But let's just see how you can do that and really keep an opponent from getting to your pen, your very vulnerable pen. And for what it's worth, John, in the AL East, the Yankees again, they've been shaky as well. So it's a problem throughout baseball, or a concern, I'm gonna say, throughout baseball with quality relief pitching. And I think a lot of it is that, you've got guys on the roster just for certain situations instead of really letting your starters, do what they do best. So I really just, again, I'd like to go back a little bit to that old school because I think that's what people really want to see is a pitcher's duel as instead of like, looking at the innings and say, oh yeah, he's probably got just one more inning left. You know when a guy is really, really done before he has to be taken out. But as much as you want to see guys hit as long as they can, how about watching some guys pitch for as long as they can?
Well, we'll see, Gary. We will see. So
Yeah. So let's talk quickly about training camp. What have you seen from the Washington Commanders that has you encouraged? And I guess the word went out probably Monday that Jaden Daniels was going to be the opening day starter, which surprises no one, I'm sure. But is that the right move? Or should he have had a little bit more time to kind of study things? Is he just that kind of talent from what you've seen?
he's a good ball player. He's the right selection, but there's still concerns with their front line on offense. Can they open holes and get this guy Robson some yards? Defensive front four is solid. Their cornerback situation, their secondary situation is also a question mark. They're playing the guy Forbes. Forbes looks like me back when I, didn't have a gut and, didn't have 70 or 80 extra pounds on me, so he looks very slim, very skinny. Needs to put him at matter of fact, he needs to be at a table with me, Gary, because he needs to just eat and eat because he's so small. But we'll see
Hey,
what happens with him.
he's got to be able to hang if he's going to eat with you. Because and John, for what it's worth, I'm still trying to find those extra 70, 80 pounds on you because as tall as you are, if you gain that, you wear it well, bruh.
Well, thank you very much. Kim does not think I wear it well, so I need to work on losing a few pounds.
Okay, okay. And we know that you cannot argue with the wife because what is it? Happy wife, happy life. And
Absolutely.
I'm and I'm the
Absolutely.
single guy saying that. But yeah, again, maybe because access to games has been preseason games has been limited. I've been trying to catch up on NFL Network. I have not had a chance to see the Commanders. I'll probably set my DVR to record their next game just so I can really see what's there. I know Jaden Daniels is not going to play in this. I guess what is one more preseason game, John?
This is it. This is the last preseason game. They got three, and then the season starts on September the 8th. Well, Redskins
Yeah.
see. Commander season starts on September 8th.
Hmm.
The NFL season starts on a Thursday night with Kansas City and Baltimore.
Yeah, yeah. That's gonna be a good one. And I'll probably have a better read on the Ravens and the Chiefs. And I guess when we meet next time, we'll be looking ahead at the NFC East. So I guess we could probably wrap it up here, John, and you can tell us what we have coming up next time or hope to come up with next time.
Next time that we get together, we should have the NFC East discussion. The Eagles should have Jesse Clay. Um, The Giants, we're hoping to have Eli White back to do that. The Commanders, we're probably going to have your main man, Richard Miles, come in and do that one.
Oh man, yeah,
Uh,
that'll be fun.
unless unless a final decision is made about what team I'll be with next year, then maybe if it's the Commanders, maybe I'll do it. And last but not least, we're going to have a fellow named Dante Webster come in and talk about the Dallas Cowboys.
John, I would say you raised your kid right, except for one exception, but I'm gonna leave it at that. Hey, before we go, we got to give some props to Caitlin Clark for breaking the single season. I want to say a single season assist record for
Assistant.
rookies
Yep.
or overall. You probably know that one better than I do.
I'm not sure if it's rookies or overall, but still, congratulations goes out to her. She's playing really well. The Indiana Fever are playing really well as a team. They beat Seattle Storm the other night. Seattle Storm, I think, went into the game with a record like 17-10. And Indiana Fever just really playing well. That pick and roll with Kaylin Clark and Leah Boston is really starting to
Yeah.
click in and work and be a very lethal weapon.
Yep. And Lexi Hall is just a great I don't want to say diversion, but for all the attention that Caitlin's getting, it's like the game that I watched last week, and it's like Hull is one hull of a player. And I'll leave that bad pun at that. I mean, I've seen her in person, and I mean, again, she quietly, puts up 15 to 25 points. She's capable of really reaching 30 most any night. That's just how good they are. And it was just a matter, I think, of that team gelling. So, congratulations to Caitlin. I think she'll, again, John, I'm not even going to go into the whole rookie of the year discussion because that's one that it's a polarizing discussion, not between you and I, but between anybody else who ventures onto social media. It's like one of those triggering things. So I'm going to avoid it. I'm just going to say congratulations to Caitlin Clark. Good luck to her. Good luck to Angel Reese, whoever is the choice. And it might be determined, as a split, but we shall see. John, take us home. Oh, folks, watch us on YouTube, watch us on Facebook. Let us know. We can send you a link. And John, now take us home.
Hey, thanks everybody for listening again. Remember this week, watch some baseball, watch some basketball. You watch some baseball, root hard for my Orioles. Say a prayer for them. Believe me, they're going to need it. But above all else, watch some sports and come back and see us. Take care. We'll see you again real soon.